I died on my 22nd birthday, in a meticulously planned kidnapping. Kidnapped along with me was the fake heiress who had taken over my life, Ivy Jiang. In the dark warehouse, the kidnapper's knife pressed against my neck. Over the phone came the icy, indifferent voice of my biological father. Jiang Shunting, 100 million. We can only save one. Ivy has been frail since childhood. She can't handle the shock. My biological brother, Jet Jiang, that eternally gentle and flawless golden boy, spoke without a hint of emotion. Dad, don't hesitate. Bring Ivy back first. And my blood-related brother, Jiang Shi, was even more hysterical, screaming, if you dare lay a finger on my sister, just try it. As for that bastard from the countryside, if she dies, she dies. Finally, it was my biological mother, who said through tears, I'm sorry, but Ivy is the daughter we've loved for 20 years. The call ended. And as the cold blade cut through my skin and I fell into the icy river, I saw the smug, venomous smile on Ivy Jiang's lips. As my consciousness faded, I had only one thought: if there is an afterlife, I will never have anything to do with this family again. When I opened my eyes again, the blinding white light had turned into a soft orange glow. My adoptive mother Liu Min's gentle voice reached my ears as she caressed her slightly swollen belly and asked me with a smile, Nora, would you like mommy to give you a little brother to play with? Looking at her gentle eyes and at my adoptive father Su Jiancheng, who was peeling an apple nearby with adoration in his gaze, my tears instantly overflowed. I'm back to the age of 4, back to the starting point of all the happiness in my life. And back to before that tragedy occurred. Why is Nora crying? Don't you want a little brother? Liu Minute held me in her arms, her tone anxious. I shook my head desperately, burying my face in her warm embrace, my voice choked with sobs. I do. I want a brother. Su Jiancheng put down the fruit knife, handed a piece of apple to my mouth, and gently tapped my nose. Then why is our little greedy cat crying? Is it because Dad didn't let you finish that lollipop yesterday? I nodded in agreement, my voice muffled by the apple in my mouth. In my previous life, it was on this very afternoon that they went to the hospital for a prenatal checkup. On the way, to avoid a truck that ran a red light, their car plunged off the overpass. I waited at home, only to be met with the return of 2 cold, lifeless bodies. It was only after their deaths that I learned from the gossip of relatives that I was not their biological child. Instead, I was an abandoned infant they had found at the hospital entrance on a snowy day 3 years earlier. They named me Nora Su, meaning that like a spring rain, it would cleanse life and give me a new beginning. But their departure made my world collapse in an instant. No relatives were willing to take in a burden, so I was sent to an orphanage, where I spent 12 years without dignity and often went hungry. It wasn't until I was 16 that the Jiang family found me. I thought it was salvation, but I didn't realize I was stepping into another, deeper hell. In this life, I absolutely cannot let the tragedy repeat itself. I tightly held Liu Min's arm and began to act unreasonably. Mom, can you and Dad go to the hospital tomorrow instead? I want you and Dad to build blocks with me. We'll build the biggest castle in the world. I, who had always been well-behaved, suddenly became coquettish and willful. Su Jiancheng and Liu Minute exchanged a smile, thinking I was afraid of losing their favor after my younger brother was born, and reluctantly agreed. All right, we'll do whatever our little princess says. We won't go anywhere today. We'll stay home and build the castle with you, Su Jiancheng said, ruffling my hair. That day, the living room was filled with our laughter and joy. The next day, the news reported a major traffic accident. An out-of-control truck crashed into several vehicles on the overpass, and one of them had the exact license plate number of our family car. Su Jiancheng and Liu Minute watched the news, their faces pale with shock and lingering fear. Liu Minute held me tightly. Nora, you are our family's little lucky star. I laughed. Yes, in this life. With me here, you will all be safe and sound. As for the Jiang family, may they and Ivy Jiang, the whole family, stay together, loving and caring for each other, never to part. I had no idea I was intentionally switched. I grew up like any ordinary child, surrounded by love and warmth. My adoptive mother, Liu Minute, is a top English teacher at a prestigious high school in the city, while my adoptive father, Su Jiancheng, is an associate professor in the history department at a university. Born into such a scholarly family, I was immersed in an academic environment from a young age and never gave them any worries about my studies. In my past life, Ivy Jiang was the pride of the Jiang family, excellent in her studies, talented in many areas, and a celebrated socialite praised by everyone in her circle. Meanwhile, I struggled to survive in an orphanage, lacking even the most basic education. After returning to the Jiang family, Jiang Zhenting and his wife often compared me to her. Their words filled with disdain. To gain even a shred of their approval, I studied desperately, trying to catch up on the 12 years I had fallen behind. But when I finally handed them a report card that far surpassed Jiang Yuqing's, they merely said indifferently, "With such a poor foundation, what's the use of trying so hard now? You'll never amount to anything respectable." My younger brother Jiang Shi went even further with his mockery. "The way you struggle is just pathetic. You're nothing but a wild chicken, yet you dream of turning into a phoenix. Don't even think about comparing yourself to my sister. He is an academic underachiever himself, yet he always uses Jiang Yuqing as a weapon to put me down." On the day of the college entrance exam, I was cornered in an alley and had my leg broken, missing the life-changing test. I told Mr. and Mrs. Jiang Zhenting that Ivy Jiang was behind it. They turned around and accused me. "Ivy is so kind. How could she do such a thing? I think you just didn't do well on the exam and are trying to smear her name to ruin her mood for the test." Later, those people who attacked me were caught, but they insisted that it was a spur-of-the-moment robbery. I know the Jiang family paid them hush money. As for why I'm certain it was Ivy Jiang, because she admitted it to me herself. She loves watching people like me struggle desperately but remain powerless. The Jiang family has two sons, the eldest, Jet Jiang, and the younger, Jiang Shi. Jet Jiang is the designated successor of the Jiang group, recognized as a business prodigy and a role model for all scions of wealthy families. He dotes on Ivy Jiang immensely, but that doting feels more like the maintenance of a perfect creation. He always treats others with humility and politeness, wearing a gentle smile, yet I always feel that behind those gold-rimmed glasses lies an unfathomable abyss. He maintains a superficial warmth toward me but has never truly cared about my well-being. And Jiang Shi, my biological younger brother, was my worst nightmare in my past life. I suspect he has a mental illness. This is not an insult, but a statement of fact. Jiang Shi's emotions are extremely unstable, aggressive, violent, and out of control. He is like a mad dog Ivy Jiang keeps by her side. As long as Ivy Jiang sheds a single tear and says I bullied her, Jiang Shi will immediately bring his gang of troublemakers to carry out a brutal retaliation against me, pressing my head into the dirty water of the toilet, throwing insects into my meals, locking me on the rooftop to freeze overnight in winter. These are all common occurrences. I also have to endure their group beatings and humiliation. Afterwards, Jiang Yuqing would hypocritically show up, playing the role of the kind older sister, urging them to stop. But when I tearfully complained to Jiang Zhenting and his wife about Jiang Shi's violence, they promised to give me justice. Yet as soon as Jiang Shi used the excuse, she made Sister Ivy unhappy first. The one who ended up being punished was always me, covered in bruises. In this life, I also have a younger brother, Su Yang. That life in a previous existence that never got a chance to see the world. My relationship with Su Yang is a classic case of love and hate. He would secretly eat all my snacks, and I would sign his failing exam papers with a flamboyant parent's signature, leading to him getting a scolding from both his mom and dad. He would draw turtles on my face while I was asleep, and I would change his gaming account password to the first 100 digits of pi. But we both know in our hearts that we are each other's most solid support. Because of the mental maturity brought by rebirth, I displayed reason and foresight far beyond my peers from a young age. In the late 1990s, I persuaded my parents to invest all their savings in several tech stocks that were not favored at the time, and just before housing prices skyrocketed, I convinced them to take out loans to buy several properties in the city center. At first, they dismissed it as childish talk. But after missing a few opportunities, they decided to give my nonsense a try with an experimental mindset. As a result, the family's assets multiplied dozens of times in just a few years. My parents once thought I was possessed by a business prodigy and grew accustomed to the profound economics books in my room. That money later became the first pot of gold for my college startup. They often marveled at how two educators ended up raising a shrewd merchant like me. Reeking of the smell of money, although I am extremely reluctant to admit it, the years I spent working at Jiang Corporation in my previous life did teach me a great deal about business from Jiang Junting and Jet Jiang. At that time, Ivy Jiang was studying art, and after graduation, she plunged headfirst into the entertainment industry to chase her dream of stardom. Leaving no time for me, I seized every opportunity to improve myself. Back then, I had long given up any hope for the so-called familial affection from the Jiang family and no longer felt hurt or saddened by their favoritism. If I couldn't get love, then I would make use of the Jiang family's resources. I followed Jiang Junting and Jet Jiang, learning their management style, expanding their network, and accumulating my own capital. I knew that even if I were to be driven out of the Jiang family in the future, I would have the skills to make a living. But I still underestimated their ruthlessness. During that kidnapping, both Ivy Jiang and I were taken. They didn't hesitate to choose to save Ivy Jiang, leaving me to be killed and thrown into the icy river. That kidnapping was absolutely a premeditated murder, but I'm quite certain that, given Ivy Jiang's intelligence, she alone could never have orchestrated such a meticulous plan. At that time, the greatest harm she could do to me was using the family's favoritism to provoke me or making ambiguous, hypocritical remarks in front of the media. Plus, with me being on guard everywhere, it was already difficult for her to cause me any real harm. So, there must be a deeper, hidden hand that I overlooked. I was admitted to the best provincial high school in the city, while Ivy Jiang attended an expensive private elite school. In our second year of high school, Ivy Jiang and her brother Jiang Shi were exposed for long-term bullying of their classmates, causing a huge uproar online. In my past life, I was far from the only one they bullied. Ivy Jiang always maintains her image as the beautiful and kind-hearted heiress of a wealthy family. She never takes action herself, only playing the victim, shedding a few pitiful tears. Meanwhile, Jiang Shi immediately transforms into a protective sister fanatic, bringing people to help her vent her anger. The girl being bullied this time is named Yi Ji, the top student in her grade at that elite school. She comes from a poor family and was admitted on a special scholarship due to her outstanding academic performance. With her tuition fully waived, Yi Ji's purpose for attending that school is clear: to make money. Her mother suffers from uremia and requires dialysis every week, and the family is already deeply in debt. The scholarship for the top student in the grade at the elite school is as high as 200,000 yuan per year, not to mention the substantial prizes from various competitions. If she becomes the provincial top scorer in the college entrance examination for the school will additionally reward her with an apartment. Yi Ji has delicate features and a quiet personality, the typical image of a pure and innocent girl, but unlike Ivy Jiang's pretense, she is genuinely self-reliant and hardworking, using her knowledge and sweat to earn life-saving money for her mother. What Ivy Jiang hates the most is someone who outperforms her in every aspect and steals her spotlight. Yi Ji has an introverted personality and is afraid of causing trouble, even when bullied. She only dares to endure it silently. In my past life, I could barely protect myself and couldn't help her, but this time, I can, using an anonymous account. I posted the video and evidence of Jiang Shi and others bullying Yi Ji online. The weak evoke sympathy, and the outstanding earn admiration. Yi Ji embodies both. Once the video was released, public opinion erupted. Countless netizens spoke out in support of Yi Ji, and the education department quickly launched an investigation. In the end, Jiang Shi was expelled from the school and became an outcast of both the Jiang family and that elite institution. The Jiang family placed all the blame squarely on his shoulders. Wasn't he the one who cherished his sister Ivy Jiang the most? Then let him also taste the bitterness of being sacrificed and abandoned for the sake of more important people. In her previous life, Ivy Jiang had been overly involved with people outside of school during high school, even being photographed entering a hotel together. Somehow, this news spread within the circle, damaging her reputation. Ivy Jiang cried the entire night. So, everyone in the Jiang family, including Jiang Junting and his wife, and Jet Jiang, pressured me into taking the blame for her. They didn't give me any chance to refuse and directly announced to the public that the one with improper behavior and a messy private life was me. Jiang, she looked at me, her eyes full of entitlement. My sister is a flawless fairy from heaven, unlike you, who already had a bad reputation. Sacrificing you to protect her is only natural. Now, the same thing has happened to him. Ivy Jiang has excellent grades and a great image, and is the apple of her family's eye. As for Jiang Shi, aside from spending money and causing trouble, he is utterly useless. Therefore, having him take the blame was the Jiang family's wisest choice. The Jiang family gave Yiji a large sum of hush money. Yiji used the money to completely cure her mother's illness, then transferred to our province's top high school. Nonsense. Which school wouldn't fight to recruit such a genius who could aim for the top score in the province? I remember. In my past life, she indeed achieved the top score in the province with an almost perfect, insane result. But the day after receiving the admission notice, she put on a red dress and jumped from her family's window. During his university years, Jet Jiang had already begun handling the affairs of the Jiang group, and his methods were even more sophisticated than Jiang Junting's. The Jiang family primarily focuses on high-end jewelry and luxury goods. In his previous life, Jet Jiang took a liking to the exclusive cutting technique of an independent designer brand called Stardust and wanted to acquire it. Unfortunately, the brand's founder was a principled old craftsman who remained unmoved. Thus, Jet Jiang bribed the quality inspector at the Starlight factory, mixing flawed substandard products into a batch of top-grade diamonds intended for export overseas. The shipment was discovered at customs, causing Starlight to suffer a severe blow to its reputation. Not only did they face astronomical compensation claims, but all their international orders were cancelled, pushing them to the brink of bankruptcy overnight. In the end, the elderly craftsman, to protect the jobs of his employees, tearfully sold his life's work and exclusive craftsmanship to the Jiang family at an extremely low price. In this life, I contacted Mr. Zhu, the founder of Starlight, in advance. Without revealing my identity, I subtly reminded him, under the guise of a jewelry enthusiast, to pay attention to the internal quality inspection process. He might not fully believe the words of a stranger, but given his cautious nature, he would definitely take extra precautions. As for his contact information, I found it in an old notebook among his belongings after he went bankrupt in my previous life. In my previous life, when Stella had an incident, I didn't pay much attention to it. It wasn't until many years later, when Mr. Zhu's son sought revenge against Jet Jiang, that I learned the truth of what had happened. But by then, he was no longer a match for the Jiang family. I had thought that old Mr. Zhu would turn the situation to his advantage and catch the mole red-handed when they made their move. But I still underestimated the old craftsman's ruthlessness and wisdom. He did not make a fuss but secretly replaced that batch of goods, allowing the flawed diamonds to be exported smoothly. Only after the incident blew up internationally and the Jiang family's malicious competitive practices were exposed did he take solid evidence and file a lawsuit against the Jiangs in the International Commercial Court. Good thing I didn't reveal my identity to him. This person is not to be trifled with. The reputation of the Jiang group has plummeted. Not only do they have to compensate for all of Starlight's losses, but they also face hefty fines and sanctions from the International Business Association. Yiji is still in touch with her former classmates from the elite school. She told me that due to this heavy blow, the Jiang family is facing a tight cash flow and has cut the allowances of their children by more than half. Logically speaking, a starved camel is still bigger than a horse, even if the Jiang family had to pay a huge amount in compensation. They shouldn't have had to cut back on their children's pocket money, but unfortunately, Ivy Jiang and Jiang Shi's usual expenses were truly staggering. Ivy Jiang had been raised like a princess since childhood, with custom-made gowns costing hundreds of thousands, and designer handbags filling her entire walk-in closet. Jiang Shi, on the other hand, gathered friends around him, spending lavishly on food, drinks, and entertainment, surrounded by a group of friends who saw him as an easy target. Ivy Jiang naturally threw a big tantrum when her allowance was cut, so she unapologetically took Jiang Shi's share for herself. To this, Jiang Junting and his wife, as well as Jet Jiang, had no objections, continuing to show their usual favoritism toward her. However, Ivy Jiang's mood remained sour lately. Not only did she have to downgrade her spending, but she also faced unprecedented exclusion and criticism at school due to bullying incidents and the family scandal. Not having enough money to win people over, even her little followers began to pretend compliance while secretly defying her. When in a bad mood, one always needs a punching bag. The Jiang Junting couple were her backers, and she didn't dare provoke Jet Jiang, so naturally, the only one left was my good little brother. In my previous life, when I first returned to the Jiang family and received the first bank card from my parents, I was overwhelmed by their generosity. Thinking they had given me too much, later, I found out that the amount was only 1/10 of Ivy Jiang's monthly allowance. Once, she falsely accused me of stealing and pawning a necklace of hers worth millions. To vent her anger, she pushed me down the stairs from the second floor without even asking for an explanation. I suffered a concussion and was hospitalized for half a month, yet I didn't receive a single apology. My biological mother even went so far as to punish me by cutting off all my living expenses, claiming that I had a wicked mind and was greedy for vanity. Penniless, I didn't even have the money to take the bus. She crossed her arms and looked down on me with disdain, saying, "Serves you right. A poor wretch will always be a poor wretch. You'd better fix your money-grubbing nature." However, in this lifetime, it's Jiangxi's turn to experience this feeling. His situation is much better than mine was in my previous life, but I wonder if he has the same endurance I had back then. If he's still willing to be the scapegoat, then forget what I said. Such deep sibling affection, truly moving. I'm not worthy, I can only offer my blessings. After the college entrance exam, both Yiji and I were admitted to Peking University. She was the top scorer in the province that year. Just like in my previous life, I chose the finance department. With the memories and experience from my past life, I found these courses to be a breeze. In my previous life, Ivy Jiang also got into a prestigious university in the country, while Jiangxi, who had terrible grades, was sent abroad by the Jiang family using their money. In this life, Ivy Jiang, due to a series of setbacks, failed the college entrance exam and ultimately chose to study abroad to gild her credentials. She is the type of person who cannot stand mediocrity, and even less can she accept the fact that she is inferior to others. Jiangxi, however, was unable to go abroad and only attended a local vocational college. Although the Jiang family suffered significant losses, they were not so badly off that they couldn't afford the expenses for both children to study abroad. What conflicts occurred within their family, I do not know for the time being. In my freshman year, I used the money I had earned from previous investments to start a technology company called Chiming, focusing on the field of artificial intelligence. I didn't forget to continue causing trouble for the Jiang family. After all, no one knew the Jiang family's business and lifelines better than I did. I deliberately avoided meeting any members of the Jiang family until my senior year, at a business cocktail party. I unexpectedly encountered Jiang Junting and Jet Jiang as the founder of Chiming Technology. At the age of 22, I finally reunited with the Jiang family. That day, as soon as I returned home from work, I found Jiang Junting and his wife, along with Jet Jiang, unexpectedly present in my living room. As soon as my birth mother saw me, tears welled up in her eyes, and she opened her arms to hug me, but I instinctively avoided her. "Dad, Mom, who are these people?" I asked. Looking at Su Jiancheng and Liu Minute, who seemed troubled, before Liu Minute could speak, my birth mother stepped forward, grabbed my hand, and burst into tears. "Child, we are your birth parents. Your mother has finally found you." I had been pretending to know nothing about my origins, so naturally, I had to play the part to the fullest. I looked utterly stunned and resistant. Su Jiancheng asked them to sit down first and speak slowly. Liu Minute held my hand and recounted to me once again the story of how she found me at the hospital entrance 20 years ago. After hearing this, I frowned deeply. My eyes filled with rejection toward these uninvited guests. Su Jiancheng and his wife looked worried. Jiang Junting and his wife had tears in their eyes, while Jet Jiang remained expressionless, though his eyes, hidden behind his glasses, were quietly observing me. Only Su Yang was unaffected. gloating on the sidelines. "Ha, Nora Sue. I told you you were picked from the trash can." I ignored him and instead grabbed Liu Min's hand, speaking firmly. "Dad, Mom, we've been living together for 20 years now, and I've grown up. Why bring up the past? Isn't our family doing just fine now?" My tone carried a hint of irritation, clearly showing my dissatisfaction with those who disrupted my family's harmony. A flicker of embarrassment crossed the faces of Jiang Zhunting and his wife. Su Zhencheng spoke up to comfort me. "Nora, don't worry, you will always be our daughter. No matter what choice you make, we will support you." Liu Minute also said, "Although I didn't give birth to you, I raised you with my own hands. You and Su Yang hold the same weight in my heart." I looked at the Jiang family sitting across from me and said with a sharp tone, "Then how can we be sure they are my biological parents? There are so many scammers these days. Who knows if they're just here to cheat us out of money?" My words were quite impolite, but for a young person who had just suffered a huge shock, they were somewhat justified. In my previous life, when the Jiang family came to the orphanage to find me, they were not as tearful and emotional as they are now. Instead, it was Ivy Jiang who was crying pitifully, while my birth mother comforted her with concern. Jiang Shi, on the other hand, looked at me with disdain. "Is this country bumpkin really my sister? Could she be a fraud?" Seeing the Jiang Zhunting couple at a loss for words, Jet Jiang broke the silence first. "Little sister, hello, I am your eldest brother, Jet Jiang. It's like this. Back then, a nurse at the hospital made a mistake and switched you with another child. Our Jiang family has another daughter named Ivy Jiang. The child who was swapped with you, not long ago, we accidentally discovered that Ivy's blood type didn't match ours. Later, at a business reception, we saw you and noticed you look very much like our mother. Coincidentally, you share the same birthday as Ivy, so we decided to investigate further. He is lying." At the age of 16, they found out that Ivy Jiang was not their biological child. That's why they came to find me at the orphanage. This time, I didn't go to the orphanage. Since they couldn't find me, they probably gave up. I suppressed my emotions and regained my usual composure, asking, "My parents only gave birth to Su Yang, which means it wasn't a swap. So where did that Ivy Jiang come from?" My birth mother quickly explained. She was the child of a nanny who worked for our family back then. In other words, it wasn't a mix-up but a deliberate switch. That nanny wanted my life. I scrutinized Jet Jiang. "Your earlier explanation was deliberately covering up for Ivy Jiang and that nanny." My birth mother hurriedly defended Ivy Jiang. "Nora, we've wronged you all these years, but Ivy is innocent too. She knew nothing about it." Jet Jiang was clearly much more rational than his mother and immediately changed the subject. "Sister, don't worry, we've already sent that nanny to prison. I won't let anyone who hurt you get away with it." So decisive. In my previous life, I went to great lengths to finally get that woman sent to prison, because the Jiang family was afraid that the nanny having a criminal record would affect Ivy Jiang's future. They just wanted to pay her off to make her go away and never have any connection with Ivy Jiang again. Later, I insisted on reporting it to the police, but that only deepened the Jiang family's dislike for me. "Don't call me sister, we're not necessarily related yet," I retorted irritably. The term sister was, in a past life, Jet Jiang's exclusive way of addressing Ivy Jiang. Jet Jiang smiled faintly, unoffended. "I was too hasty. If you don't believe me, we can go for a paternity test right away." He always carried himself with such grace and elegance, like the most perfect older brother. "Is Ivy Jiang that female celebrity?" I suddenly asked. "Yes, she is currently filming abroad, so she couldn't make it back to see you. But don't worry, Ivy is already engaged. From now on, you will be the only daughter in the family. Your father, mother, and I will all make it up to you." My birth mother held my hand with tears in her eyes. "Good child, come home with Mom." I gave a "you must be dreaming" expression. "I don't want to, I'm doing just fine at the Su family. Are you still holding a grudge against us? Don't you want to acknowledge your mother?" She persisted, resorting to emotional blackmail. It was Jiang Zhunting who stopped her. "All right. It's only natural for Nora to have a hard time accepting this. We can't rush things." Then, he turned to me. "Nora, whether you acknowledge me or not, I am your biological father. If you don't believe it, we can take a paternity test first. With the support of my adoptive parents, I still went with the Jiang family to take a paternity test. They also hoped I could find my roots. The test results came out, and it was no surprise. The two families had a meal together, during which I remained very resistant and aloof. The Jiang family once again proposed to take me back to live with them, but I refused without hesitation. After returning home, I laid out all the negative news about the Jiang family that had surfaced over the years, one by one, in front of my adoptive parents. Since the lawsuit involving Starlight, the Jiang family's business has been on a continuous decline, with investments repeatedly failing. They have mortgaged almost all of their assets, leaving only the villa they currently live in and an ancestral home. The Jiang family's commercial building has long been precarious and on the verge of collapse, urgently needing a massive amount of funding to stay afloat. The reason I know this so well is that more than half of these achievements are actually my doing. The other half belongs to the one they see as their innocent and kind-hearted good daughter, Ivy Jiang, helping her fiancé's family drain her own family's resources. This is exactly the kind of thing she would do. In my previous life, I returned to the Jiang family early. Ivy Jiang held a deep animosity toward me, fearing that I would take everything from her. But the indulgence of the Jiang family gradually put her at ease. In this life, however, I have not appeared for a long time. The unknown is what is most terrifying. For the past 6 years, she has been constantly worried that if I were to suddenly return one day, everything she has now would vanish into thin air. So she had to secure a more stable fallback for herself. She married into the Fu family early on, willingly transferring the Jiang family's interests to the Fu family, and even went so far as to sell out Jiang Corporation's business secrets, all to cling tightly to the Fu family's powerful tree. Judging by Jet Jiang's attitude just now, they probably still have no idea. Before they came to me, they must have thoroughly investigated my background. They knew I founded Chiming Technology and that my company has limitless potential. They even sent the nanny to prison, even at the cost of affecting Ivy Jiang's future, all just to show goodwill and avoid displeasing me. Didn't they? My parents don't know about the grudges from the past life, but I must remind them not to easily trust any word from the Jiang family. Dad, Mom, the Jiang family actually found out about the child swap 6 years ago, but they told us they only discovered it recently. They were clearly lying to me. They knew their biological daughter was out there for 6 years. Yet they only sent the culprit to prison recently. Instead, they raised the nanny's daughter like a treasure, never once thinking about seeking justice for me. It's clear that in their hearts, I, their biological daughter, mean nothing. Liu Minute found it hard to believe. That can't be. What would they gain from it? Su Jiancheng flipped through the documents, his expression grave. If this information is true, then the Jiang family is indeed a company with a tarnished record. Nora is also in business, and getting involved with them offers no benefits at all. Su Yang always has a unique way of thinking. Sis, could it be that they want to recognize you as part of the family just to marry you off to some wealthy old man for a business alliance and money? Liu Minute rolled her eyes at him. What nonsense are you talking about? That's how it always plays out in TV dramas. I chuckled lightly. It's not entirely impossible. You don't need to worry too much. I have a good grasp of these matters. I just wanted to give you a heads up in advance. Jiang Zhenting and Jet Jiang were busy with company affairs and only managed to visit me a few times when they had a moment. Jet Jiang brought me several sets of expensive diamond jewelry, but I recognized at a glance that these were all Ivy Jiang's things. They can no longer afford expensive custom jewelry, but buying ordinary pieces would seem insincere. In my previous life, when I first returned to the Jiang family, Jet Jiang gave me a 20,000 yuan bracelet. I was overwhelmed and deeply moved, even thinking he had spent too much, until I accidentally overheard Ivy Jiang say to him sarcastically, "Brother, you're giving that country bumpkin such a cheap bracelet when she comes back. Won't she be upset? After all, even one of my coats costs 300,000. Hearing the word cheap, I felt a bit sad, but I wasn't angry, as it was my dear brother's thoughtful gesture. But then, Jet Jiang said, "Where is it cheap? For her previous standard of living, 20,000 is already a fortune. If we hadn't brought her back, she'd still be starving and freezing in the orphanage. She should be grateful to us. In his eyes, I only deserve cheap things." Jiang Zhenting, on the other hand, brought a share transfer agreement, offering me 10% of the Jiang family's shares. I didn't accept any of their gifts. If it were a few years ago, I might have needed these things, but now, I can afford them myself. Jiang Zhunting looked ashamed. It's our fault for not finding you sooner. Your father just wants to make it up to you. Even if you had found me earlier, I might not have gone with you, after all. I've been doing very well all these years. Money couldn't sway me, so they started playing the emotional card. My birth mother came to our house almost every day, chatting with Liu Minute and subtly probing for details about my childhood. After all, she is my biological mother. Seeing her so concerned about me, Liu Minute couldn't just shut her out and had to treat her with courtesy. Every time she saw me, my biological mother would hold my hand and repeatedly express her longing and guilt over the years. In my previous life, I suffered so much in the orphanage. Yet I never saw much guilt from her. A month later, my attitude toward her had become much closer. She took the opportunity to suggest that she wanted to stay at our house for a while to spend some quality time and build a better relationship with me. I arranged a guest room for her, but she started nitpicking. Nora, isn't this mattress too hard, and this room doesn't get any sunlight, the decor is too old-fashioned, and the lighting isn't bright enough. I gave a forced smile and said, "Really, our whole family has been living here just fine." That morning, I was getting ready to leave for work. "Mom, Dad, I've scheduled your annual checkup for you. Don't forget, Yiji will come pick you up later." "Got it, we remember." My biological mother, seeing this, cautiously asked, "Nora, I've also been feeling unwell lately. Can I come along?" I wouldn't have noticed if she hadn't said anything. In her previous life, she was truly radiant. She regularly visited the most exclusive beauty salons, adorned herself with custom-made jewelry, never wore out-of-season clothes, and lived an extremely luxurious life. But the woman before me now looked haggard, dressed plainly in outdated styles from previous years, without a single decent piece of jewelry on her. Auntie, this checkup was booked a long time ago with a specialist. Maybe you could wait until next time." She had no choice but to nod helplessly. "All right, next time." Next time is just empty promises. In my past life, when I returned to the Jiang family, everyone said they would make it up to me, making it sound sweeter than a song. But in the end, it was all just lip service. They took Ivy Jiang on a trip to Europe. "Next time, we'll take you." They said the clothes I wore were cheap street market goods and brought shame to the Jiang family. "In a few days, we'll take you shopping. Whatever Ivy has, you'll have too. People in the circle are talking a lot about my identity. In a few days, we'll hold a family recognition banquet for you and formally introduce you to everyone." My birth mother took me to important events and, for once, bought me a set of jewelry, just because Ivy Jiang said she liked it. She gave it to Ivy Jiang without hesitation. "I'll buy you a better set next time to make it up to you." None of these next times ever came true. I've lost count of how many empty promises I had to endure in my past life. Right after saying that, Yiji arrived. She is now one of the top neuroscientists in the country. She greeted my parents. The moment my biological mother saw her, her face instantly turned extremely pale. "Nora, this is..." I pretended not to notice her strange behavior and enthusiastically introduced. "Her name is Yiji, my best friend. She works at that hospital and happened to be on her way to pick up my parents." Yiji acted as if she didn't know her at all and greeted her politely. My birth mother responded awkwardly and then nervously retreated to her room. After work that day, I made a special trip to a luxury store and bought all the latest season's clothes, bags, and jewelry. Liu Minute has never been fond of these luxury items. The ones I bought her before, she just stored away at the bottom of her closet. But this time, what I bought was entirely based on my biological mother's preferences. My biological mother's eyes lit up just at the sight of those brand-name shopping bags. "Nora, why did you buy so many things?" She greeted me with a beaming smile. Liu Minute sat on the sofa and glanced over helplessly. "You child, spending money recklessly again. Didn't I tell you to save your money for yourself?" I greeted my birth mother, then walked right past her and sat down next to Liu Minute. I said in a coquettish tone, "Oh, Mom, these were all gifts from business partners. They said it's a little token of appreciation for my dear mother. Don't try to fool me. You spent quite a bit again, didn't you?" although she scolded with her words, it was, after all, her daughter's heartfelt gesture. So Liu Minute still opened each one to take a look. These bags are all too flashy. As a teacher, I don't have any occasion to carry them, I chuckled. Then just take them when you go grocery shopping. It'll be quite impressive. And these pieces of jewelry are too extravagant. They don't suit me. You should keep them for yourself to wear, my birth mother quickly interjected. Oh my, isn't this the new limited edition necklace from V? It's not too extravagant at all. It would pair perfectly with an evening gown. She enthusiastically introduced the history and value of these brands to Liu Minute, who, in turn, listened attentively out of respect. Finally, my birth mother added with a hint of implication, I used to love buying their jewelry the most. That's just. Liu Minute was about to say, that's perfect, I'll get you one. I immediately spoke up to interrupt, Auntie, I didn't know what style you'd like, so I only bought something for my mom. When I have some free time in a few days, I'll go shopping with you in person. Alright, Nora is so filial. She forced a faint smile, but her eyes remained fixed on those shopping bags. Liu Minute nudged me with her elbow a little awkwardly and gave me a meaningful look, meaning, since your own mother is here, you should at least show some gesture and give her something. I pretended not to see and took out a few simply wrapped boxes from behind me. All that earlier was just an act. These in front of me are the real gifts I bought for Liu Minute. She doesn't like diamonds but has a special fondness for warm, smooth jade and emerald. Opening the boxes, her eyes indeed lit up. Oh my, these jade bracelets and emerald earrings are of excellent quality, so understated and elegant. I've asked someone to gather a few pieces of high-quality Hatian jade material. I'll take you to pick some out this weekend. I don't know much about these things and I'm afraid of being cheated, she joked. Alright, with my sharp eyes here, I guarantee no one can trick you. Liu Minute and I chatted about everyday matters while unwrapping the gifts, while my birth mother sat to the side, watching us with resentment, her face darker than the bottom of a pot. That evening, she came to me privately. Nora, when are you going to take me for that health checkup you mentioned last time? She asked. I frowned slightly. Auntie, you seem to be in good health, is there really a problem? But I just don't feel well, I've never experienced days like this before. My face darkened. Auntie, what do you mean by that? If you think our family isn't good enough, you're free to go back to the Jiang family anytime, she quickly explained. That's not what I meant. Maybe I've just been too tired lately. How about, you take me for a spa day to relax sometime, if possible. I'd also like to get a facial while we're at it. I really don't have time. Let's talk about it another day. I started making empty promises again. My birth mother finally couldn't hold back anymore. Her face full of grievance. You have time to go jewelry shopping with your adoptive mother, but no time to care about your own birth mother. Enough, I snapped sharply. How can my mom be the same as you? She saved my life and raised me with immense hardship for over 20 years, even after having her own biological son. Her love for me never diminished in the slightest, and what have you ever done for me, aside from giving me life? What right do you have to compare yourselves to my adoptive parents? My birth mother had never been spoken to like this before. In the Jiang family, she always had the final say, and her 3 children always catered to her. Her expression instantly darkened, filled with anger, and her tone dripped with disdain. Aren't they just 2 poor teachers? They raised you, so give them a sum of money to repay their upbringing, so they don't cling to you like vampires for the rest of your life. We are your blood relatives. I carried you for 10 months and gave birth to you. I coldly shook off her hand. Then let me make it clear to you now. The Su family is my home, and I only recognize them as my parents. If you can't respect my family, then the Jiang family doesn't need to stay in contact with me anymore. My birth mother looked as if I had broken her heart and ran back to her room crying. One Jiang, she has arrived. This was the first time I had ever seen him in my life. And I almost didn't recognize him. He no longer carried the arrogance of a wealthy young master, nor the domineering attitude he once had when bullying the weak. When facing me, he was no longer the proud and arrogant second son of the Jiang family who looked down on everyone. He was silent, dull, and even somewhat timid. Jiang, she graduated from a junior college last year and, just like in his previous life, had no particular skills. In this life, the Jiang family could no longer allow him to continue being the extravagant and wasteful playboy His current job is being an assistant to Ivy Jiang. That's right, the once arrogant second young master of the Jiang family has now become the lackey of the fake he despised the most, my birth mother explained. Ivy said to let him start as an assistant to get some exposure in the industry, when the time is right. She'll use the Fu family's resources to help him enter the entertainment industry and become a star. The Fu family is a leading force in the domestic entertainment industry, and Ivy Jiang is now the designated future daughter-in-law of the Fu family. If Jiang she wanted to enter the entertainment industry, it should have been an easy feat. Why would he need to start as an assistant, unless, from the very beginning, Ivy Jiang never actually intended to help him? Being a follower is fine too. Isn't this what he used to love doing the most? It could be said that his staying true to his original intentions. I took the initiative to greet Jiang Shi. You must be Jiang Shi, right? He looked up at me and timidly called out, "Sister." In my previous life, he never once called me sister. I smiled in response and handed him the latest model phone I had just bought. I heard you like playing games, and this phone's specs are just right for that. My birth mother was so overjoyed at the sight that she couldn't stop smiling. Since our big argument last time, our relationship has been very cold. Now, she seems to have found a breakthrough to ease the tension. After all, siblings have a natural bond. Jiang Shi, make sure to get along well with your sister Nora from now on. Jiang Shi took the phone a bit sheepishly. Thank you, sis. Just then, Su Yang came back from school and exploded as soon as he entered the door. Nora Su. Isn't that the phone you promised to buy for me? Upon hearing this, Jiang Shi froze with the phone in midair, at a loss for what to do. I nodded. It was meant for you. But isn't Jiang Shi here now? Su Yang shouted. Then take him to buy one next time. You promised me that if I improved in this exam, you'd get me a new phone. I've been taking extra classes for 3 months. A whole 3 months. Are you even human? Liu Minute stopped him. Su Yang, don't be rude. Jiang Shi is like a brother to you. Jiang Shi shrank back, trying to return the phone to me. I'm sorry, I don't want it anymore. I pushed the phone back into his hand. It's fine. You keep it. You're my brother too. I patted Su Yang's head again. I just met him. What's wrong with giving a welcome gift? Can't you just let him have this one? Hearing this, Jiang Shi's eyes lit up slightly, as if she hadn't expected me to take her side so firmly. Ph. Su Yang stormed upstairs angrily. Jiang Shi asked with some concern, Sis, did I make him angry? I chuckled lightly. None of your business. Hurry up and open it. See if you like the phone. Jiang Shi, who hadn't felt special favor in a long time, happily opened the phone packaging. Thank you, sis. A while later, Su Yang ran downstairs. The anger from earlier had completely vanished, replaced once again by that punch-worthy grin on his face. He was holding an identical phone in his hand. Hey, sis. I knew you wouldn't be so heartless. I rolled my eyes. I was just joking, and you took it seriously. I knew Jiangxi was coming, so I deliberately bought an extra phone, and had placed it in Su Yang's room in advance. At this moment, Jiangxi looked at the phone in her hand with a complicated expression. Unsure whether to take it or not, he instantly realized that the favoritism that had warmed his heart moments ago was nothing more than a joke between me and Su Yang. During dinner that evening, the conversation turned to Su Yang's grades. My birth mother asked, Is Su Yang about to take the college entrance exam? How are his grades? Liu Minute replied modestly, Not bad, he should be able to get into a key university, but he still can't compare to Nora. She graduated from Peking University. When it comes to their children, parents can't help but feel a little proud. My birth mother immediately chimed in. Really, Nora is so outstanding. My eldest son, Jet Jiang, also graduated from Peking University. They really are like siblings. Our Ivy also had excellent grades, but unfortunately, she insisted on studying acting abroad, and now, she's become a big star. From beginning to end, Jiangxi was the only one not mentioned. Silently keeping his head down, eating without tasting the food, I silently observed his every move, serving him many of his favorite dishes. He was flattered and didn't suspect at all why I knew his preferences so well. Jiangxi will be staying at our house for a few days. My biological mother said she wants us siblings to bond and build a good relationship. After dinner, I played 2 rounds of games with Su Yang. Gaming is the easiest way to get worked up. After losing, I was so angry that I ended up wrestling with him. Taking advantage of my height, I pinned him down on the sofa. How did you play that team fight just now? Do you even know how to play? How dare you say that about me? Clearly, you were the one who fed the enemy first. Seeing this, my birth mother quickly urged my mom to intervene. Oh dear, Nora is a girl. How can you bully your little brother like this? But Liu Minute didn't care at all. Don't bother with them. Whoever can't hold their own deserves it. Jiang Shi watched from the side, her eyes filled with envy. In the Jiang family, no one had ever dared to speak a harsh word to Ivy Jiang. Anyone who made Ivy Jiang cry would face punishment from the entire family. This extremely unbalanced approach to parenting was inherently unreasonable. They could have loved each child equally, yet they chose to elevate one while belittling the other. Just to demonstrate their supreme favoritism for one child, the entire family treats Ivy Jiang as a fragile treasure. The problem is not scarcity but inequality. Long-term favoritism naturally breeds discontent. Jet Jiang is the designated heir to the family, so he naturally doesn't mind doting on a perfect sister. It showcases his generosity. But what about Jiang Shi? In my previous life, I vaguely sensed the deep-seated jealousy within him, but Ivy Jiang was at the peak of favor, so he dared not show it. Moreover, at that time, I was at the very bottom of the food chain, serving as a stepping stone for him to find a sense of balance. This was another deep-seated reason for his relentless bullying of me back then. He was jealous, and he was also afraid. I am better than him in every way, and he is afraid that my status at home will surpass his, so he used standing up for Ivy Jiang as an excuse to relentlessly suppress and bully me, just to assert his presence and superiority. After playing around with Su Yang, I called Jiang Shi to join me in the game room on the second floor. This place is essentially Su Yang's exclusive domain, equipped with the top-of-the-line, full set of gaming gear available on the market. Su Yang also collects many antique game consoles that have been discontinued. Although no one plays them now, he enjoys studying them. So I had people help gather them from all over the world for him. As soon as Jiang Shi walked in, his eyes were filled with amazement and envy. This feeling, I am all too familiar with, in my previous life. After staying in the Jiang family's guest room for a few days, I felt the same way when I first saw Ivy Jiang's lavishly decorated room, which was like a palace. Jiang Shi loved playing games, a trait that remained unchanged from the previous life to this one. Su Yang also had a fondness for gaming since childhood. Upon learning this, Su Jiancheng neither strictly forbade it nor let it go unchecked. Instead, he guided him toward game development during the winter and summer vacations. I also enrolled him in programming classes so he could systematically learn about computers and software development. Unexpectedly, Su Yang was very interested in it and even wrote a small game program on his own, making a group of like-minded friends online. Jiang Shi and Su Yang played a few rounds of the game together, and when they finished, they still felt like they hadn't had enough. In the following days, whenever I had free time, I took Jiang Shi out shopping and bought him things he liked. My birth mother was also happy to see it happen. Seeing that his clothes were a bit old, I took him to a luxury store and bought him hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of new clothes in one go. He said he envied the out-of-print game consoles in Su Yang's game room, so I had someone buy him a set at a high price. He took a liking to the limited edition watch Su Yang was wearing, and the next day, I gave him an identical one. In short, I want him to experience the kind of unconditional indulgence Ivy Jiang once received, where all her wishes were fulfilled without question, from someone who initially didn't even dare to accept a phone, to now, seeing someone willing to fulfill all his desires without reservation. Jiang Shi was both touched and apprehensive. Gradually opening his heart to me, he vaguely revealed to me that Ivy Jiang treated him very poorly in private. I feigned surprise. How could that be? Isn't Ivy a simple and kind-hearted girl? How can you say that about her? As I said this, I almost burst out laughing but managed to hold it in. He grumbled, "How do you know she's simple and kind-hearted?" I put on an innocent face. Auntie said so, and I occasionally watch entertainment news. I quite like the dramas she acts in. That's all an act. She's the best at putting on a show. Even her persona in the entertainment industry is fake. Really? Jiang Shi lowered his head dejectedly and stopped explaining. He must have told his family many times, But no one ever believed him. I continued to provoke him. Ivy might just have a bit of a temper occasionally, but no matter what, she's been your sister for so many years. You shouldn't speculate about her with such malice. He let out a bitter laugh. If only it had been you living with me all these years, how wonderful that would have been. A faint, almost imperceptible smile tugged at the corner of my lips, but my eyes were filled with mockery. Jiangxi's current situation is the most similar to my past life. Yet, he is far better off than I was back then. One after returning home, my biological mother suddenly suggested that Jiangxi should go back. Jiangxi, you've had so many days off already. Hurry back to keep your sister company. She's all alone on the film set, and it's really inconvenient without you. Jiangxi frowned. I'm not going. She's a grown-up. Does she still need me to take care of her? How can you say that? Ivy is a girl, and the entertainment industry is not a safe place. As her younger brother, you should protect her well. Who is her brother? My own sister is right here. She's just some wild child who came out of nowhere. Hasn't she lorded it over our family long enough? Seeing them start to argue, I held back Liu Minute, who wanted to step in and mediate. We're all family. Let's talk things out calmly. I pretended to mediate, but it had no effect. Instead, it only added fuel to the fire. Jiangxi finally burst out. You've been biased for so many years. Isn't that enough? My birth mother also got angry. Why must you compare yourself to Ivy like this? She's been more sensible and outstanding than you since childhood. In what way are you better than her? You still rely on the family to support you even now, if you want to enter the entertainment industry in the future. Won't you still need your sister's help? Jiangxi, with reddened eyes, roared. I don't need her help. Years of repression, dissatisfaction, and grievances erupted completely at this moment. Jiangxi's voice became hysterical with emotion. Since we were little, all the best food and the most fun things had to be given to her first. The moment she shed a single tear, you all rushed to scold me. In high school, she was the one who lied, saying her classmates bullied her. I only brought people to help her stand up for herself. Yet in the end, you all pinned all the blame on me, saying I bullied my classmates and brought shame to the Jiang family. Later, you thought I spent money too freely, so you gave all my allowance to Ivy Jiang. But ever since we were kids, you gave her whatever she wanted. When have you ever once called her extravagant or wasteful? You wouldn't let me go abroad with her, saying you were afraid I'd bully her overseas. But how many times did I explain to you? I never laid a hand on her. She was the one who fell and framed me. Why didn't you believe me? It turns out that Jiangxi couldn't go abroad because of this. Slap. My birth mother slapped him hard across the face. Jiangxi, that's your sister. She's been so good to you. How could you be so vicious? I think you're just used to being idle and don't want to work at your sister's place. So you made up these lies to slander her. Liu Minute awkwardly tried to mediate a few words, but after all, it was someone else's family matter, and it wasn't appropriate to interfere too much. I watched the show leisurely from the side. Not eating sunflower seeds was my last bit of respect for them. Jiangxi pushed her aside and stormed out of the room. Liu Minute hurried over to comfort my birth mother. Don't be angry. It's normal for kids to have conflicts. My two fight all the time too. My birth mother was so angry she felt dizzy. I raised 3 children. The eldest is mature and steady. My daughter is well behaved and sensible, but this youngest son, he's good for nothing and always stirring up trouble. I really wonder if he was the one swapped with Nora back then. How else could I have given birth to such an unfilial son? TSK, is it possible that there's something wrong with your parenting approach? My birth mother was so angry that she went back to her room to rest. Liu Minute overheard some of the Jiang family's drama and was left completely confused. She sighed and sat on the sofa, shaking her head. It's too chaotic. Their family is just too chaotic. Although you and Su Yang bicker every day, you've never held as much resentment in your hearts as Jiangxi does. I hugged her and comforted her, saying, that's all thanks to you and Dad raising us so well. Look at our family, how harmonious it is. Liu Minute glanced at me again, a flicker of relief in her eyes. I can't really say which of the 2 children is right or wrong, but often, the root of conflicts between children lies in the parents' favoritism. She patted my head and said gently, in the future, if your biological parents ever make you feel wronged for the sake of another child, you must tell us. Even if it means confronting them. We will never let you suffer that kind of injustice. Hearing these words, my nose tingled, and tears nearly fell as I mumbled a quiet amham. All the grievances and helplessness from my past life instantly surfaced before my eyes. If at that time, I had someone to stand up for me, how would the Jiang family have dared to bully me so recklessly? Thankfully, this time, they are all still here. Thanks to Mom and Dad, I've become the happiest child in the world. Jiang, she stormed off in anger, so as her sister, I should go check on her. When he was found, he was venting his frustration by kicking a trash can on the roadside. Pick it up. He saw me and looked surprised. Sis, what are you doing here? Pick it up, I repeated. He honestly straightened the trash can, shrinking back like a child who had done something wrong, and said timidly, I didn't mean to, it's just, I was a little angry. I softened my expression and spoke earnestly, no matter what. Auntie is still your mother. How could you treat her like that? Tears welled up in his eyes, and his voice was full of grievance. She's not my mother at all. The only person in her heart is Ivy Jiang, that sister of yours. Is she really bullying you as you said? Of course, he nodded heavily, as if he had finally found the only person who would listen. She says she's making me her assistant, but she's really just using me as a punching bag. When she gets upset on set, she comes back and either hits or scolds me. If I dare to resist, she starts acting, pretending that I'm the one bullying her, making everyone misunderstand and blame me. My expression was indescribable, perfectly conveying both sympathy and disbelief. I've wronged you. Come back with me. His eyes lit up with surprise. You believe me? I smiled faintly. Of course. You are my own brother. I found my birth mother and said I wanted Jiangxi to stay at my place a little longer. She seemed somewhat reluctant, as if the moment Jiang Xuan returned, something disastrous would happen to Ivy Jiang on the set, whether in her past life or this one. I genuinely admire her great yet blind maternal love for Ivy Jiang. She was different from the rest of the Jiang family. Her love for Ivy Jiang was not mixed with any self-interest or ulterior motives. It was purely born from 20 years of nurturing. I had no choice but to call Jiang Zhunting, which finally made Jiang Xuan stay. Jiangxi was very happy to know this and became even more trusting and reliant on me as an older sister. However, in the following days, I began to deliberately distance myself from him. I had previously ordered a top-of-the-line gaming computer, the latest model, which I originally intended to give to him. The style and color were both chosen by him personally. The computer finally arrived, and he excitedly unwrapped the packaging, tried it out, and simply couldn't put it down. Jiangxi, I showed hesitation on my face, my tone full of reluctance. What's wrong, sis? The smile hadn't yet faded from his face. Well, Su Yang has made a lot of progress in this monthly exam. I want to give him this computer as a reward first. His smile froze on his face. He's about to enter his senior year of high school. I just want to motivate him to study hard and get into a good university. You're older than him, so just let him have it. I'll order a new one for you later. Okay. His complexion improved a bit, and though extremely reluctant, he still nodded. All right. Here's the deal. You want to get into the entertainment industry, right? I have a classmate whose father is a very famous director in the industry. I'll help you ask around. Really? Jiangxi immediately beamed with joy, all the earlier unhappiness vanishing in an instant. Thank you, sis, it's fine. I patted him on the shoulder. I do know a director, but I don't have the nerve to recommend a complete newcomer who doesn't know anything. I told Jiangxi that I'd take him to visit the director over the weekend. On the day we agreed to meet, I left home early and didn't return until long after the scheduled time. Jiangxi called me. Sis, where are you? At that moment, I was strolling around the campus of C University with Su Yang. Sorry, Jiangxi. I forgot about your matter. I thought since Su Yang has a rare weekend off, I'd bring him to C University to take a look, so he can get a feel for his target university in advance. That way, he'll be more motivated to study. Jiangxi's tone was filled with barely concealed disappointment. But you promised me. Su Yang is already in his final year of high school. His situation is more urgent. Next time. I'll definitely take you next time. Next time again. You clearly said that both Su Yang and I are your brothers. Enough. His young'un doesn't know any better, but are you going to act just as immature? What are you even arguing with him about? After saying that, I hung up the phone impatiently. A moment later, Su Yang walked over, munching on a large chicken leg. Sis, can we check out a different school? Their cafeteria food is just awful. My attitude made Jiangxi feel an unprecedented sense of panic. He tried to have a proper talk with me several times, but I always brushed him off impatiently with the excuse of being busy with work. That day, I finally took the initiative to find him. Jiangxi, I'm not busy today. Would you like to go shopping with me? After enduring days of cold treatment. Seeing me take the initiative to speak to him, he nodded eagerly. Okay, sure. I drove him to a high-end private dining restaurant. Let's eat first. I actually have a friend meeting us here. Sis. Is that your boyfriend? He wanted to crack a joke to ease the tense atmosphere of the past few days. A flicker of ambiguous light passed through my eyes. No, it's my girlfriend. In the private room, Yiji was already waiting. Jiangxi, this is my friend, Yiji. Jiangxi clearly didn't remember the person in front of him and enthusiastically extended his hand, wanting to greet her. Hello, Sister Yiji, I'm Jiangxi. Yiji sat in the chair, neither moving nor responding. Just watching him coldly with her clear, indifferent eyes. Is this the brother you just found? She asked me. Jiangxi smiled and said, has my sister mentioned me to you? Suddenly, Yiji abruptly stood up, raised her hand, and slapped Jiangxi hard across the face. The slap used all her strength, and the clear imprint of 5 fingers instantly appeared on Jiangxi's face. He was stunned and looked at me for help. Sis, before I could finish my sentence, I was slapped hard across the face again. It wasn't until Yiji had slapped me for the 3rd time that I snapped out of it and pretended to step in to break it up. Yiji, what's wrong with you? Yiji pointed at Jiangxi, her voice trembling. Jiangxi, do you still remember me? He truly didn't remember. Indeed. He had bullied so many people. How could he possibly remember each one clearly? But why is it that the perpetrators can forget with peace of mind, while the victims must spend a lifetime healing from those dark memories? You forgot, but I remember it all too clearly. You tore up my exam paper, dumped the cafeteria leftovers on my head, splashed ink on my chair, and even had people drag me into an alley to beat me up. With each word, Jiangxi's face grew paler. He might not remember Yiji's face, but he clearly knew he had committed these cruel acts. Jiangxi frantically grabbed my arm. Sis, it wasn't me. I coldly shook off his hand, walked over to Yiji's side, and looked at him with an expression of extreme disgust. Yiji is my best friend. She wouldn't lie to me. He tried to reach for Yiji's hand again. I'm sorry, Yiji, I was immature before, and I can make it up to you. Please don't let my sister be angry with me. Okay, get out. In response, came an even louder slap. Seeing that the act had gone on long enough, I said coldly, Jiangxi, you should go back first. I need to talk to Yiji alone. Sis, get out. He left in a daze. I closed the compartment door and turned around to see Yiji leaning back in her chair, letting out a long sigh of relief. Awesome, I chuckled softly. This is just the beginning. I won't let him off that easily. The real show is still in the evening. When I got home, my parents happened to be out for a walk, which was just perfect for me to do my thing. I looked at the trembling Jiangxi and said to my biological mother, Auntie, let him go. From now on, he's not welcome in our home. My biological mother looked puzzled. Nora, what's wrong? Did this brat upset you again? Sis, Jiangxi was on the verge of tears. Don't call me sis. You drove my best friend to the brink of suicide. And it wasn't just Yiji, was it? How many others have you bullied? With those words, my birth mother instantly understood everything. She grabbed Jiangxi and started hitting her relentlessly. You wretched creature, how dare you not behave properly? How did I give birth to something like you? And you even bullied Nora's friend. After finishing, she cautiously looked at me. Go on, I said, crossing my arms and watching coldly, afraid that her hand might hurt from hitting. I kindly handed her a rolling pin from the kitchen. Use this, it's more convenient. My birth mother stiffened but reluctantly took it and swung it toward Jiangxi's back. I stood by, watching coldly, wishing Yiji could also witness this scene. After I got tired from hitting, my birth mother finally spoke. Panting, Nora, your brother was indeed in the wrong, but those things are in the past after all. Wasn't he also expelled from school back then? We also compensated that girl with money. Jiangxi has already been punished. After all, he is your own brother. You can't side with an outsider against your own family. Can you? I said coldly. I don't care about blood relations. Compared to a friend I've known for many years, what does a brother I've only just met a few days ago even matter? And from start to finish, this was entirely his fault. He bullied so many people. Is a simple expulsion enough? Can money really make up for the psychological trauma and physical harm others suffered? Jiangxi, Yiji was the top scorer in the province that year. Such an outstanding girl. And just because she met a scumbag like you, her life was almost ruined. How dare a worthless, uneducated waste like you destroy the life of a genius? Jiangxi knelt crying before me, clutching my legs. Sis, I know I was wrong. It's all Ivy Jiang's fault. She deceived me. She was the one who told me to do it. Enough. I slapped him across the face. You're still lying to this day. Yiji told me everything. You were the one who took people to beat her up. Your mother was right all along. You're a hopeless scoundrel. And now you're trying to pin the blame on your sister. I gradually steered the conversation toward Ivy Jiang. I always said Ivy is such a kind girl. How could she be as awful as you described? You claimed she either hit or scolded you, but I think it's you who bullied her every day, and she just didn't dare to fight back. Right, Jiangxi, are you born with a tendency to hit people? I was so good to you before. Are you going to hit me too in the future? Jiangxi grabbed my leg, shaking his head frantically. It's not like that. It's all Ivy Jiang's fault. Why do all of you believe her and not me? She's just a sinister and malicious woman. As if possessed, he knelt on the ground, muttering to himself, it's all her fault. If it weren't for Ivy Jiang, I wouldn't have ended up like this. I wouldn't have been expelled from school. I would have been the one studying abroad. I would have been the one entering the entertainment industry and becoming a big star, and I should have been the one praised and liked by everyone. It's all her fault. It's all her fault. Ha! I couldn't help but laugh. You're still shirking responsibility. Jiangxi, you really disgust me, given how things have turned out. Does my birth mother still have the nerve to stay here? Auntie, I don't want to see Jiangxi anymore from now on, since I'm going to kick him out. My parents are kind-hearted and probably won't feel comfortable facing you either. You should go back to the Jiang family. It'll save everyone the awkwardness of meeting again in the future. Nora, she still wanted to plead. I didn't give her the chance. I immediately called 2 security guards to help her pack her things and escorted her and her son out. When my parents returned, I told them about Jiangxi bullying Yiji. Aunt Shen felt too embarrassed to stay any longer and left with her son. Upon hearing this, my parents were furious, not only because they felt sorry for Yiji. As teachers, they value education the most and have a deep-seated hatred for behaviors like school bullying. My father waved his hand and said, I think, Nora, you should stay away from the Jiang family from now on. Their family has a bad reputation, and the parents bear a great deal of responsibility. When their child makes a mistake, not only do they fail to educate him properly, but they also use their wealth and influence to cover up for him, indulging him without any limits. Aren't other people's children just as precious? Liu Minute looked puzzled. That Jiangxi, he seemed quite honest, even a bit timid, but who would have thought he could do such a thing? I sneered. He wasn't timid before. This is all thanks to Jiang Yuling's training. Every villain meets his match. After seeing off this mother and son pair, it was time to deal with my so-called father. Jiang Zhunting is a businessman who places extreme importance on face and family interests. In his previous life, he favored Ivy Jiang, primarily because she better fit his ideal image of a wealthy heiress. Secondly, it was because Ivy Jiang's engagement to the Fu family's young master could bring immense benefits to the Jiang family. As for me, a child who grew up in an orphanage, I only brought him shame. The first time he took me to a banquet, my nervousness and timidity drew ridicule from many. After the banquet, he didn't comfort me or teach me, but instead slapped me hard in the car. Disgraceful thing. I don't have a daughter as unworthy as you, so. He turned a blind eye to his birth mother's favoritism and ignored Jiangxi's bullying. Later, when I worked at Jiang Corporation and gradually revealed my business talent, I slowly gained his care and attention. He would take me to various business events and proudly introduce me to his partners. This is my daughter, Nora Su. By that time, I was no longer moved by such hypocritical paternal love. I proposed to him that I wanted shares in the Jiang Corporation, but he coldly said to me, Norisu. Know your place. In his eyes, I was just a useful tool that could create value for him. When I proposed leaving the Jiang family to start my own business, he refused to let go of the benefits I could bring him. He said, if you can no longer create value for the Jiang family, then obediently enter into a business marriage to secure the final benefits for the family. Later, a project I was responsible for encountered a mishap. The core design blueprints were leaked prematurely, causing significant losses for the company. Jiang Zhenting knew very well in his heart that I was not the one who leaked the drawings. Yet he still pushed all the blame onto me. He said to me, Norisu, I only care about results and benefits. I already had a suspect in mind for the person who leaked the design drawings, but before I could gather evidence, I was kidnapped along with Ivy Jiang. I suspect that the person who framed me is the same one who orchestrated the kidnapping. That person's target has always been me from the very beginning. Kidnapping Ivy Jiang was merely a diversion, and at the same time, it was to stage that choose one scenario, completely eliminating any possibility of my survival. After all, what kind of kidnapper would be so unprofessional as to take 2 hostages and force the family to make a choice? Isn't that just plain crazy? Wouldn't it be better to get double the ransom? Having the chance to obtain the core design blueprints of the Jiang family while simultaneously planning the kidnapping of both me and Ivy Jiang, most importantly. This person has a direct conflict of interest with me. Apart from Jet Jiang and Jiangxi, I can't think of a third person. As for Jiangxi, I seriously doubt he has the brains for it. Not long after my biological mother and Jiangxi left, Jiang Zhenting reached out to me. In the restaurant, he looked serious. The Jiang family can sever ties with Jiangxi. What? I feigned surprise. He said with a straight face, I will no longer provide him with any financial support. Whatever you want to do to him, I won't stand in your way. I thought he came to plead for his son. Right, that's Jiang Zhenting's nature. Cold-blooded and heartless. He is your own son, I said sarcastically. He smiled indifferently. Norisu, you're clever. With just a little trick, you successfully drove a wedge between Jiangxi and Ivy. Is there still any affection between them? I retorted. At that moment, a few entertainment news headlines popped up on my phone. Popular actress Ivy Jiang bullies newcomers. Ivy Jiang exposed for long-term abuse of assistant. Ivy Jiang engages in malicious competition, causing a female star to be disfigured while filming. Each news article was accompanied with high-definition images, and even several undeniable clear videos, leaving her no opportunity for public relations whitewashing. There was no need to guess. This was Jiangxi's revenge. It was worth all the effort I put into provoking him for so long. I looked at Jiang Zhenting. You've known about Jiangxi's actions all along. Know all the injustices he suffered. Know Ivy Jiang's oppression and beatings towards him. Just like in his previous life, he chose to turn a blind eye. Jiang Zhenting's tone was devoid of any warmth. It's his own lack of ambition. He came today not to reminisce about old times with me. From the moment I drove his wife and son out of the Su family, he realized that playing the family card wouldn't work on me, so he didn't bother putting on that fatherly facade anymore. You are more outstanding than the 3 of them combined. Chiming has only been established for 3 years, yet it has grown to such a scale with limitless potential. If back then, you hadn't been taken away by that nanny, I would have definitely raised you as my most outstanding successor. I don't believe it. My response was too quick and too blunt, causing a crack to appear in Jiang Zhenting's expression. He took out another new equity transfer agreement. Then now, I can fulfill my promise. I didn't even glance at it. President Jiang, I'm not a fool. What is there left in the Jiang Corporation now that's worth my scheming for? Young man, you need to think long-term. The Jiang and Fu families are collaborating on a major project. As long as this project succeeds, the Jiang family can make a comeback, he said with certainty. This collaboration was clearly facilitated by Ivy Jiang. What's the condition? You wouldn't just give me such a big gift for nothing, would you? I need 50 million in funding for cash flow. How much? I was utterly shocked. President Jiang, I started from scratch, and it hasn't been easy. This is all the liquid capital the company has. If I give it all to you, how am I supposed to keep my business running? He looked completely at ease. What's there to worry about? Once the project succeeds and the funds flow back, I'll return double the amount to you. In the future, the entire Jiang Corporation will be yours. Is he making empty promises again? I shook my head. I can't accept this, he asked in confusion. What more could you possibly be dissatisfied with in such a highly profitable collaboration? I raised the corner of my mouth and said, it's not that I'm dissatisfied, but I don't trust you. What if you try to cheat me? You. Jiang Zhonting's face turned livid with anger. Just kidding, I quickly interrupted him. I refuse to cooperate with you because I am a fine young socialist, firmly opposing all enterprises and individuals that break the law and violate discipline. The next second, his phone rang. Abruptly stifling the anger he had just mustered, I pointed at his phone and said, I know you're angry right now, but hold that thought. After finishing the call, he looked at me with a face full of shock and uncertainty. Was it you, Nora-Su? I chuckled lightly. No, it was you. Soon, the news of the Jiang Group's tax evasion will spread all over the internet. Everyone will know that the successful CEO Jiang is nothing but a hypocrite. Nora-Su. He slammed the table in anger. I am your father. My father is Su Jiancheng, and he taught me to abide by the law and be strict with myself. As for you, I glanced at him coldly. I don't have a father as disgraceful as you. The Jiang family was anonymously reported by me. The solid evidence was also handed over to the tax bureau by me personally. I don't care for anything from the Jiang family, but at the same time, I have no intention of leaving them anything either. Jiang Zhonting is a selfish and cold-blooded person who doesn't care about family ties and would even abandon his own biological son without hesitation. Then I will destroy the career he is so proud of. Along with the face he values the most, Jiang Zhonting will soon face imprisonment. Ivy Jiang's scandals continue to spread online, and Jiangxi is nothing but a useless coward who can't handle pressure. At this critical moment, the only pillar of the Jiang family, Jet Jiang, has suddenly gone missing. The Fu Group immediately announced the withdrawal of investments and terminated all cooperation with the Jiang family. The Jiang family owed an astronomical amount in taxes and fines, so they had no choice but to borrow money from Ivy Jiang. Ivy Jiang gave them a cold shoulder. My birth mother and Jiangxi went straight to the Fu Corporation building and ended up being dragged out by security like dead dogs. My birth mother came to see me several times, but I turned her away every time. When my parents found out, they just sighed and didn't interfere. My father also called me into his study and questioned me strictly, finally saying with deep sincerity, "A gentleman loves wealth, but he acquires it through proper means." I had no choice but to assure him, "Dad, I pay my taxes on time." At this point, I thought Jet Jiang would come to me. After all, with Jiang Zhonting fallen, he is now the one in charge of the Jiang family. But I ended up waiting for Ivy Jiang first. Ivy Jiang, the one who stole my identity from birth, the root of my 22 years of suffering in my previous life. It wasn't until now that I finally met her for the first time. I took revenge on Jiang Zhonting, on my birth mother, on Jiangxi, and even on the entire Jiang group, yet I never laid a hand on her. Even the scandals that now surround her are Jiangxi's doing. Although I did intentionally provoke some of it, do I not hate her? Of course I do, but compared to her, what I hate even more are those relatives who share my bloodline yet treat me with cold indifference. In my past life, during those 16 years when Ivy Jiang took my place, I resented it deeply. Yet there was nothing I could do. After returning to the Jiang family, at first, Ivy Jiang only had some petty thoughts of jealousy and rivalry. She was constantly testing the attitudes of the Jiang family. It was their repeated indulgence and favoritism that gave Ivy Jiang the confidence and capital to hurt me. She only needed to shed a few tears, and my closest family would blame me, scold me, and even hit me. She could casually tell a lie, and my relatives would all believe her without hesitation. Even though uncovering the truth would have been a simple task for them, they all jumped to the conclusion that I must be the one at fault. As long as they had even the slightest care for me, perhaps I wouldn't have had to endure those inhuman sufferings. Ivy Jiang merely handed over the knife, but those so-called relatives were the real executioners who took the blade and sliced my flesh piece by piece. I hate Ivy Jiang, but I hate them even more, 1,000, 10,000 times more. Are you Nora-Su? Ivy Jiang was dressed impeccably, her eyes filled with an innate arrogance and disdain. It's me, she sneered coldly. It's nothing special. I heard from my elder brother that you're quite impressive, having started some company. I've looked into it, and compared to the Fu family's business empire that has been passed down for decades, it's still far behind. I chuckled lightly. You've gone to such lengths to say all this. Isn't it just to imply that I'm not as good as you, that I'll never measure up to you? She nodded. That's a fact, I scoffed. What makes you say that with such confidence? Just because you're currently mired in scandals and being boycotted all over the internet, with the Fu family backing me. Why would I fear not having a chance to make a comeback? And even if I quit being an entertainer, I can still retire peacefully and continue living as a wealthy socialite. Norisu, do you have any idea how much I hate you? Her eyes suddenly turned venomous. Hate me? I don't quite understand. Although you took what was mine, I never once thought of reclaiming everything that belonged to me. Did I? Why do you hate me? She sneered. Because you are the legitimate daughter of the Jiang family. While I am destined to be nothing but a fake who can never measure up, why wasn't I the one born into the Jiang family? Ever since I learned the truth at 16, I've lived in fear every day. I was terrified that you might suddenly come back one day, after our parents found out the truth. They said they would still treat me as their own daughter, but in reality, they've always been thinking about you. I couldn't be bothered to argue with someone as greedy and insatiable as her. My fault. I deliberately said in a mocking tone. I'm just lucky, I guess. Who told you to be born to the nanny? Who told you to fail to keep the secret of your background? Who told them to keep thinking about me? You. Her lips turned pale with anger. So what if you've been recognized by the Jiang family now? You're still unlucky. If you had returned a few years earlier, you might have had a chance to be a wealthy heiress. But now, the Jiang family has nothing left. While I am still the future mistress of the Fu family, so, is that your reason for helping your in-laws harm your own family? I retorted, stealing Jiang Corporation's trade secrets, intercepting the Jiang family's key projects, poaching Jiang's core executives, step by step, paving the way for your fiancé. Fu Beiheng, you really are hopelessly in love with him, aren't you? Ivy Jiang's face instantly turned panicked. I have no idea what you're talking about, I said with a calm expression. Since I know these things, it means I've already found solid evidence. She was stunned for a long time before suddenly regaining her composure. What does it matter if you know? I just want to completely destroy the Jiang family before you return, even if you're the biological child. Don't think you'll get anything from the Jiang family. I shrugged. It doesn't matter. After all, it's not my interests that are being harmed. Her brows furrowed tightly. What do you mean? You're not planning to return to the Jiang family. Did she think I went through all that trouble just to go back and be a down-and-out heiress, which is why she came to flaunt her superiority in front of me? I didn't answer her any further. Instead, I pressed the save button on my phone to keep the recording I had just made, then stood up and left. In this lifetime, I never intended to do anything to Ivy Jiang with my own hands. I prefer to watch her, step by step, bring about her own downfall and head toward destruction. Ever since reuniting with the Jiang family, I have been having people keep a close watch on their movements in secret. Now that such a major incident has occurred in the Jiang family, Jet Jiang has not shown up at all, let alone come to find me. This is far too unusual. I can't find any trace of him. A sense of foreboding washed over me. Go stay at the school dormitory for a while, I said to Su Yang, who was on summer vacation. Why? Staying in the dorm will make it easier for you to preview the senior year curriculum in advance. I can study at home too. Just go if I'm telling you to go. Why so much backtalk? I'm not going. The dorm bed is uncomfortable to sleep in. I glared at him. Still sleeping? You're about to be a senior in high school. At your age, how can you even sleep? Su Yang, Norisu, you're not trying to send me away so you can secretly inherit the 3 acres of land back home by yourself, are you? Me, I'll give you money. He gave a flattering smile and performed a standard ancient salute. Alright, sis, just you wait and see. After sending Su Yang away, I booked my parents a luxury 2-week European tour to help them relax and unwind. They were initially reluctant, I said. I have to go on a business trip soon to discuss a very important project and won't have time to handle things at home. What if the Jiang family shows up again? How will you deal with them? My parents don't like the Jiang family, but because of my blood ties with them, They don't want to make things too awkward. It's better to avoid the situation altogether. I can't possibly tell them about being reborn. It's too unbelievable, and they would never believe me. I've secretly arranged for top-tier bodyguards near the school and around my parents, recalling the experience of being kidnapped in my past life. I can still almost feel the weightlessness of falling off the cliff and the excruciating pain of my bones shattering. The Su family villa is empty, and someone has to move in. I have taken in my homeless biological mother and Jiangxi once again. In the living room, Jiangxi is huddled in the corner, clearly still afraid to face me. My biological mother looks haggard, with tear stains on her face. Nora, please help your father. We've even mortgaged the old house. But we still don't have enough money to pay the fine. I ignored her sobbing and asked directly, "Where is Jet Jiang?" My biological mother said, "Your eldest brother has also gone to try and raise money." "Where did he go?" I asked impatiently. "I'm not sure either. He only said he was going abroad to ask a friend for help." Going abroad? When? Just 3 days ago. My heart sank. My parents had also gone abroad around that time. I steadied myself and deliberately asked, "What exactly happened? Isn't Ivy Jiang your beloved daughter? She's so kind. How could she refuse to help someone in need? Don't even mention that ungrateful wretch. A child not of your own blood can never be truly loyal. We raised her in luxury, provided her with such a generous dowry. And yet she won't even lend us this small amount of money," I said indignantly. "Even though I'm not close to you, since Ivy Jiang has enjoyed the Jiang family's resources for over 20 years. She ought to take on this responsibility for me. How could she treat you like this?" Jiangxi yelled at his mother. "I've told you so many times, she's just a vicious woman, but you refuse to believe me." My birth mother wiped her tears. "Enough, what's the use of saying all this now?" She held my hand, as if clutching the last lifeline. "Nora, please help us. If the Jiang family can get through this crisis, we will definitely make it up to you in the future. Family bonds can be nurtured over time." I awkwardly pulled my hand back. "I want to help, but I don't have that much money either. Our Su family isn't some wealthy dynasty, and my company has only just been established. How could I have saved up that much? What should we do then?" Jiangxi muttered gloomily. "Don't drag my sister into this. Who told you to trust Ivy Jiang so much back then? You deserve it." Ivy Jiang came to see me a few days ago. I took out the recording from last time. I never expected that she would harm the Jiang family to this extent for a man. The conversation between Ivy Jiang and me played from the phone. I slightly edited the parts where I spoke. In the recording, Ivy Jiang admitted with her own words that, for Fu Beiheng, she step by step pushed the Jiang family into the abyss of destruction. My birth mother, upon hearing this, completely broke down. Jiangxi's face, on the other hand, was filled with a sinister expression. "I'm going to kill that bitch." "Enough," I interrupted the two of them. "You can't even see her face right now, so don't overestimate your abilities," I sighed. Pretending to be troubled, "I'll figure something out. Both the Jiang family's villa and the old house have been mortgaged. I let them live here with peace of mind." Jiangxi looked at me with a face full of gratitude, as if I was still that good sister who would unconditionally favor him. My birth mother seemed to have found an emotional anchor, settling comfortably into my home, waiting for me to resolve all their problems. That day, I received a call from an unknown number. "I heard you've been looking for me." The voice on the other end of the line was no longer gentle as before, but filled with a low, sinister tone. "Damn, you're really well hidden." I was silent for a long time before slowly speaking. "Jet Jiang, sis, it seems like every time, you manage to live well, every time." "What do you mean?" My throat tightened instantly. He chuckled softly. "You've been reborn too, haven't you?" I took a deep breath. "Where are you?" Even at this point, he still wasn't planning to show himself. Country. "What? Couldn't kidnap me in the last life, so now you're planning to go after my parents? Ha, if I were to kidnap you again this time, who else would raise the money for me? What good will getting the money do? The Jiang family is already finished. Kidnapping is a serious crime, and you won't be able to make a comeback in the country again." He let out a cold laugh. "Who said I was going back? I understand. You really are just like your father. No wonder he chose you as his successor," I said helplessly. "Jet Jiang, why did you have to harm me in your past life? I was already so miserable in my past life. Who exactly did I get in the way of? I was on the verge of having the ability to break away from the Jiang family and establish myself independently. But then, he ended up killing me. Nora-su, what I hate the most about you is this attitude of yours. Acting like nothing matters and like you can handle everything on your own, he said through gritted teeth. This sounded familiar, as if every member of the Jiang family had said something similar to me. You could just be a little princess like Ivy Jiang, living a carefree life, or be a useless waste like Jiangxi. Wouldn't that be better? I could be a good older brother, protecting you just like I protect them. The Jiang family's wealth is more than enough for you to squander for a lifetime, but you just had to compete with me. You want to take my place in the Jiang Corporation. The projects I couldn't secure, you solve them with ease. I envy you. Even father is paying more and more attention to you. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. I suddenly couldn't hold back my laughter, laughing so hard that my eyes grew hot. Thinking about the experiences of my past life is truly laughable. Ivy Jiang was jealous that I was the real heiress, but in reality, the Jiang family only loved her, the fake one. Jiangxi was jealous that my grades were better than his, but in fact, even if he was a good-for-nothing who never studied, he could still be the little master of the family. Jet Jiang was jealous that I was valued by our father, but the truth is, his father only saw me as a pawn to be sacrificed at any moment. I clearly have it worse than any of them. Yet they all insist on being jealous of me. They won't rest until they've trampled me into the mud and crushed me to pieces. Jet Jiang, I want 200 million. Transferred to this overseas account within 5 days. Otherwise, you can forget about ever seeing your adoptive parents again. After all, you wouldn't want to lose your loved ones twice in a lifetime, would you? He has an even bigger appetite than his father. Where am I supposed to get that much money for you? Do you really think I run a bank? If the money isn't enough, sell the house and the stocks. If that's still not enough, don't you still have company shares? His tone was full of schadenfreude. I sneered. Jet Jiang, when did I ever say my parents went to M country? You did deceive me, but I never said I found them in M country. If you want them to stay alive, transfer the money on time. Jet Jiang hung up the phone. I quickly checked on my parents and Su Yang, and only breathed a sigh of relief after confirming they were all safe and sound. Returning to the Su family villa, I found that my biological mother and Jiangxi were both missing. The house was in complete disarray, the bodyguards were injured, and the police had already arrived. The kidnappers were Jet Jiang's men, but Jet Jiang himself is still abroad. After they captured them, they didn't even video call each other to confirm. I handed the recording of the recent phone call to the police and explained that he was blackmailing me, although the police also found it hard to understand what was going on with this family. The fact remains that the mastermind behind the kidnapping case has the surname Jiang, and the kidnapped hostage also has the surname Jiang. I explained, after all, it's a wealthy family feud. You know how it is. A few days ago, I did take my parents to the airport, but they never boarded the plane, let alone went abroad. Jet Jiang came up empty-handed abroad, and just at that time, I happened to bring his biological mother and younger brother to live at my place. Isn't that a coincidence? As for where my parents are, they're out in the yard at our hometown, farming. After my grandparents passed away, the 3 acres of land at home were left uncultivated. On the 5th day, I received another call from an unknown number. After answering, I first heard the cries and pleas for help from my biological mother and Jiangxi. My biological mother's voice was hoarse from crying. Nora, Mom knows she was wrong. Mom is sorry. My hand tightened slightly. Is she remembering too, sis? We didn't mean to not save you in our past life. It's all Jiang Yuling's fault. A strange male voice interrupted their cries. Miss Su, have you gathered enough money? My thoughts were still immersed in their words, and I didn't react immediately. It's just as well to remember. Only then can I feel justified in taking revenge on them. Why is it that I alone have to bear the burden of those painful and bitter memories? Hey, is he dead? Speak to me. Damn it, my throat is a bit dry, and I whisper, I want to say a few words to them. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Nora, it's Mom. Please save me. Auntie, I interrupted her. My parents are missing too. I can't just ignore them. Nora, Ivy has also been kidnapped. We can't not save her. Don't blame me. Don't blame us. The crying on the other end of the phone abruptly stopped. I decisively hung up the phone, even though Ivy Jiang hurt me. What truly made me feel despair and grievance was never her. After all, Ivy Jiang is an outsider, but they are all my blood relatives. I also sent the recording of this phone call to the police and actively cooperated with their investigation. I don't care if something happens to them. But as a law-abiding citizen, I should always help the police solve the case. Jet Jiang was soon arrested and brought back to the country to join his father. After all, he is her own biological son. And my birth mother originally did not want to pursue the matter, but Jiangxi was unwilling. Under Jiangxi's continuous revelations and ironclad evidence, Ivy Jiang completely withdrew from the entertainment industry. The three children raised with care by the Jiang family ultimately turned against each other, engaging in mutual destruction, favoritism. How could it not cause resentment? In this lifetime, I have never personally done anything to Ivy Jiang. First, because I was too busy dealing with the other members of the Jiang family and didn't have time for her. Second, because she is too foolish. Although I hate the Jiang family, I have to admit that the Jiang family is indeed Ivy Jiang's strongest support. Now that the Jiang family has fallen, I wonder if the Fu family will still want a disgraced and worthless daughter-in-law. As for that Fu Beiheng, what kind of decent person would go all out to destroy his own father-in-law's family? 2 months later, I learned of Ivy Jiang's death. It was Jiangxi who did it. He was a madman in his previous life, and the resentment from 2 lifetimes combined was enough to take Ivy Jiang's life. Fu Beiheng sent him to prison and firmly stated that he would seek justice for his deceased wife, which earned him plenty of reputation and sympathy. My birth mother came to see me a few times, only to find that we had already moved. How her life turns out in the future has nothing to do with me anymore, sis. Come blow out the candles. Su Yang had just received his admission letter from Peking University, and his family was hosting a celebration banquet. Facing the congratulations from relatives and friends, Liu Minute spoke modest words, but the smile on her face simply wouldn't fade. Su Jiancheng was drunk, with one arm around me and the other around Su Yang, bragging drunkenly. In my life, I've taught so many outstanding students, but the ones I'm most proud of are still these 2 kids of mine. Come on, second uncle, open another bottle. Su Yang leaned in to complain to me. I ended up going to Jingda University after all, but their cafeteria food is just awful. Sis, how about you donate a cafeteria to the school? I glanced at him speechlessly. Get lost. Outside the window, the sunlight was just right, and the breeze was gentle. This happiness, 22 years overdue, I finally, firmly grasped in my hands.